Today, I just wanted to do a quick overview of the Dignity Act of 2025 that was introduced yesterday by a bipartisan group on July 15th, 2025. My name is Stephen Brown. I'm a partner here with Reddy Neumann Brown P.C. in Houston, Texas. As I said, the Dignity Act of 2025 was introduced yesterday by Representative Maria Salazar. She's a Florida Republican and is co-sponsored by Veronica Escobar, who's a Democrat from Texas, as well as 10 Republican co-sponsors. And this is a revised version of the Dignity Act of 2023, which was introduced in the last congressional session that had about 38 sponsors, co-sponsors, if I'm not mistaken, that were primarily Democrat, but had plenty of Republican support as well. And so I want to start my analysis with this of where we are in this bill so I don't get everybody's hopes up, and then what the bill proposes in terms of high-skilled immigration. So where we're at, this bill was introduced yesterday. This is a newborn baby bill, all right? This isn't something where it's about to become law. This isn't something where I'm telling you guys it's on the goal line here. This is brand new, but it is important to be aware and start building those relationships with the congressional representatives that represent you either in the Senate or in the House, to start talking about the importance of this bill and why they should support it. And for employers, the same thing. I mean, I think this has some provisions that will help employers. The last bill, in the 118th, we're now in the 119th Congress, went to 12 different committees and really didn't get too far. Right, it was referred to all the committees and then kind of died. Like I said, it had 38 total co-sponsors on it, and it didn't get anywhere. But the way Representative Salazar mentioned is that recent polling indicated 8 out of 10 Americans believe immigration is a good thing for the United States, and so they've redone this bill. And so this bill, and I've met with Representative Escobar from Texas before, and I think this is kind of a unique bill because it is bipartisan and it does a little bit of what both sides want in terms of immigration. Some modernization on our legal immigration side, as well as border security, and then paths to citizenship moving forward. So the bill is divided into 3 sections, and then it has subsections. So subsection 1 is border security for America. This is going to be border security, asylum reform, and mandatory e-verify. So this will, increase the infrastructure for ports of entry, for asylum, border security personnel, asylum processing, increased funding, so that can be done. And then the mandatory e-verify, so here's our first employment subsection, and this would require employers to attest that they have verified the employee is not an undocumented immigrant, and they have to go through the e-verify system when hiring. Again, not a law yet. Some states have mandatory e-verify. There is debates out there whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's there. Now this would be, a timeline depending on the number of employees you have, at least as it's currently proposed. And then it would have, additional civil penalties for hiring people who are not authorized to work knowingly, hiring them. So this first section also has additional, things such as illegal reentry, increased criminal penalties for that, allows DHS to use DNA testing for family relationships, to prove that, and then increases penalties for voting. The next is the Dignity and American Promise side. This is going to focus on, the Dreamers. This is going to incorporate the DREAM Act and what they call the Dignity Program. This will incorporate versions of the DREAM Act, and it will, kind of create a path forward for 2.5 million dreamers, including DACA recipients. It also has provisions for the documented dreamers, which I'm going to talk about later. So yeah, it's, again, we have kind of that Republican hardline of more funding, protection of the border, increased enforcement, and then, kind of our give on Dignity and Promise Act to help the dreamers. Now Section 3 here, Division 3 of this, I think is where we see a lot of our impact into what our clients are interested in. So the American prosperity and competitiveness. And I think a lot of this, to be honest with you, is bipartisan. We have incorporated versions of the American Families United Act that was introduced by Representative Salazar and Escobar. This is going to give discretion to DHS when they're apprehending and potentially removing people, to not if there is a U.S. citizen, spouse, or child involved. This is going to create, under this bill, if it's passed, a family purposes visa. So there's going to be a non-immigrant visa category for relatives of U.S. citizens and green card holders to travel to the United States. It would be very similar to a B visa, but, the issue with B visas, when you have relatives that are green card holders and citizens, it's kind of hard to get past the immigrant intent issue. And so the proposal would be a 90-day visitor visa to attend things like weddings, birthday parties, funerals, family reunions, for spouses, children, sons, daughters, grandchildren, parents, grandparents, siblings, uncles, aunts, nieces, and nephews of a citizen or LPR. So that's pretty good. Now let's talk about the important stuff, the reason why you clicked on this video. We have two subsections here: fairness for legal immigrants, and then a subsection on employment and student visas. And, the employment for legal immigrants is an attempt to kind of fix our system, right, with the backlogs that we have. Number one under this is a planned phase out of the backlogs. And the goal here of this bill would be to reduce the backlogs to a maximum of 10 years. Individuals who have been waiting in the backlog for over 10 years can pay a fee of $20,000 and receive the immigrant visa. Their goal here would be to get that waiting time gone under the 10 years by 2035. So, that's a lot of money, especially when we talk about families, but, it's a step in the right direction. And when I met with Representative Salazar on this, my understanding is a big chunk of that fee would go towards the border security. So again, bipartisanship here. This bill also would seek to increase the per country caps on employment-based and family-based, which would be, they would have it go from the 7% that it is today to 15%. That's double, and we're going to talk more about why that's even better in just a second. And again, hopefully trying to reduce these backlogs. And then under this fairness for legal immigrants section, they have something about the documented dreamers, our age-out children who are, aging out because of these backlogs. It includes versions of the America's Children Act. And then they're going to create a system that documented dreamers who have maintained lawful presence in the United States for at least 10 years have an opportunity to obtain lawful permanent residence. So I don't know if their idea is to restructure CISPA. I haven't gone through the Americans Children Act, but that's a good step forward. On the employment and student visa side, some more improvements here. And I think this one is the big one. I think it's a big ask that everybody has been wanting, is the counting of derivatives. This bill would seek to eliminate the counting of derivatives, children and spouses, from being counted against the annual visa total. Right now, any country has 7% of the visas. Let's say it comes out to about 10,000, just for easy numbers, right? Well, when you figure most high-skilled immigrants are married, it's really 5,000 families, and then if they have any kids, we're really talking about, 2,000 to 3,000 families that get their employment-based green card each year. And so under this provision, only the principal applicant would count. And so that's big, right? Because this would increase our numbers because we're not counting the derivatives. And I think that's proper. I mean, I understand counting derivatives in the family-based side, but in the employment-based side, not so much. This bill also contains provisions for F1 students. This would amend the F1 statute to become dual intent. It would also create a more substantial aspect of OPT, but as this bill is full of give and take, it would get rid of the tax breaks for OPT. And this is a big issue that the folks who are anti-OPT have, is that they don't have to pay the Social Security and Medicare tax, so it's cheaper for employers in their view. And this bill would seek to eliminate that. The bill would also create new rules regarding O visas and basically create a presumption of eligibility for students who have earned a doctoral degree in a STEM field or a medical field. And then also a creation of an agency that oversees state labor and USCIS to help improve all the processing. So again, very brand new bill. It was introduced yesterday. We're kind of still early in the 119th Congress. And so what do we recommend you do here? Call your representatives. Call your senators. Meet with these representatives. If your employers, try to meet with them. If you're part of groups, meet with them and explain why these are important, and try to convince them to co-sponsor or use their sway to push this forward. We've recommended letter writing campaigns before, and I think that can be helpful. I think people should be trying to, if they think this is important to them, push this. And look, we've seen bills fail. I'm not getting anybody's hopes up. I'm not sure how successful this will be. It wasn't successful last Congress, but it's not going to hurt you to write a letter explaining to your your congressman or congresswoman why you think they should support this bill. So again, Dignity Act of 2025 is out. It's HR 4393. Has a lot of good provisions for high-skilled immigrants, as well as increasing the border security. It's all about give and take, and that's might help it become a bipartisan bill, but we will keep seeing and keep you guys updated. Thank you for tuning in.